morning. My name is Mary Way, and I am your prayer partner for today. As we look at this beautiful light, let us prepare for our time together this morning. Let us set aside, just for a while, the busyness of our day and all our earthly concerns. I invite you to close your eyes and to take a deep, cleansing breath. Visualize this beautiful light as it glows inside you, and breathe this beautiful breath, this beautiful gift. Breathe in and acknowledge your divine power. Breathe out and release all that no longer serves you. Rest in the warmth and the peace, the oneness that is ours, as symbolized by this beautiful flame we've just seen, this Christ light within all of us, our divine nature. We open our hearts to limitless possibilities, knowing that divine light shines in us and through us. For these blessings and this precious time together, we are truly grateful, and we say thank you. And so it is. Amen.
Thank you, Mary, for opening our service with prayer. So I'd like to welcome you to Unity Spiritual Center Ottawa's online service, our online Sunday service. We're here every Sunday, and my name is Linda McCabe, and it really is an honor for me to be the service facilitator for this beautiful sacred service. And before we start our service today, we would like to acknowledge the Algonquin Nation, on whose traditional unceded territory we are holding this online service. We gratefully acknowledge them as past, present, and future stewards of this territory. Miigwech. Our music director, Lynn Atterbury, has found a gorgeous music video for this longtime favorite song with an important message for us today. So please join your voices with Weave, written by Rosemary Crow and performed by Beyond the Walls Choir.
Weave us together in unity and love. Weave us together together in love. We are many textures, we are many colors, each one different from the other, but we are like one another in one great tapestry. Weave us together in unity and love. Weave us together together in love. We hear different instruments playing our melodies, each one tuning to a different key, but we are all playing in harmony in one great symphony. Weave us together in unity and love. Weave us together together in love. Now the Christ in me brings the Christ in me. In one great family we us together. Lead us together in unity and harmony. Lead us together. Lead us together, together in love.
Well, we are doing it. We have reached November, and with that comes signs of winter occasionally poking through into our awareness. But enough of that for now. Last Sunday, we had a beautiful day with the Day of the Dead service. And last night we had a very different Halloween. I'm sure most of you had that experience. It was quieter and there was minimal connection. And as I sat at my desk last night, the full moon in all her glory shone through the window, uplifting and inspiring me. So I was listening to one of my teachers, and I wanted to share this piece of advice, which I know is not new to you. However, I like the reframe. It was blunt. She said, "Stop listening to the news." Okay, so how many times have you heard that? Yet, how often are we turning to the news? Think about it. She went on to say that if we were all to stop listening to the news would cease to be. Have you considered that? You know, I hadn't thought of it quite like that. We feed what we pay attention to and starve what we turn away from. So, food for thought. And instead, turn towards which nourishes you and raises you up. Keeping our vibe up will save us. Unity helps us with that. It's a path that connects us to spiritual truth, to spiritual law. We learn discernment. We learn to center ourselves in the knowing that we are all interconnected with all of life. We learn that love is the basic underlying principle of creation. Yesterday, a friend sent me a beautiful quote from Crazy Horse, the great Lakota leader and chief of the Oglala band in the mid-1800s. Before his death, he prophesied this time of chaos and separation. He also sowed seeds of hope when he shared his vision. I see a time of 7 generations when all the colors of mankind will gather under the sacred tree of life, and the whole earth will become one circle again. When I think of oneness, of the nature of love and spiritual truth, one text comes to mind, and that is A Course in Miracles. And I am so delighted to welcome our guest speaker for the next 2 Sundays, Course in Miracles expert, Anne Buchowski. And I want to welcome you, Anne, to USCO, and we look forward to hearing your wisdom later in the service. When we embrace the loving intelligence and interconnection of the universe we are a part of, we experience our vision, an awakened world celebrating oneness. Take a breath and notice how you have been and are experiencing an awakened world celebrating oneness. It all starts with us. It all starts within us. How are you celebrating the oneness that is you, within you? And we do that by expanding consciousness and transforming lives. Our theme, the Unity Worldwide theme for 2020, is Perfect Vision, seen through a spiritual lens. The Unity Worldwide theme for November is interconnection. Like rivers flowing from one source, we are all connected. Let us know this together. Together, like rivers flowing from one source, we are all connected. It seems obvious that rivers originate from one source and are therefore connected. But how does that apply to us? How are we connected with each other? How do we change the lens of separation to the lens of 2020 spiritual vision and connection? How do we see our oneness, our interconnectedness, our interconnection when we are separate bodies on a planet? Yet, when I turn within and contemplate my own body, I become aware that my 50 trillion cells and even more bacteria and viruses form an interconnected community whose sole purpose is to make a home for my soul. So just like my body, the substance of the universe is interconnected. And this adds the elements of strength and flexibility that are necessary for existence and endurance. And we say, God is all in all. God is the wholeness. God is one. And now let us move to our announcements. So, I hope that some of you have had an opportunity to check out our website. It is gorgeous and easy to navigate. It's so user-friendly, both for making changes to it and just for going online. We have had feedback from our colleagues at Unity Kitchener who have both emails we've had. They've been very complimentary in this. I wanted to point out too, there is, so one of the things that we're really, really grateful for is that Sherry Steinman has been our webmaster volunteer for over 7 years. She has been working behind the scenes to make changes and additions to the former site. Her talents were essential because the old site was created with quite challenging software that needed her expertise. And we thank you, Sherry, from the bottom of our hearts for your essential work. And the board has given Sherry a gift certificate on behalf of our community, on behalf of you, to say thank you. And we also want to thank Susan Hagar and Greg Van Asperen for building this new site from that foundation. So thank you. So I'm going to invite Brenda on to introduce this next announcement. Brenda?
Good morning. I'm very excited about this event that we're just getting put together. Many of you were here a couple of weeks ago when Robin McBride was talking about beauty and order, and she started referencing Marion Woodman. And then she specifically started referencing the 2009 documentary film, Marion Woodman, Dancing in the Flames. And in the midst of all of her talk of it, because she was a big fan of it, she said, and you as a community, you should see it. And for me personally, all my worlds collided in that moment because the movie is directed by Adam Gregory, who I've known since he was 12. And I was at the world premiere of this film in 2009, which was held in Elmont at an event organized by Lily White, who is often with us, where she had Andrew Harvey. There's just all the threads of my life kind of went poof in that moment. And I thought, well, if she, as a community, it would be fantastic because it's an amazing film. It's, I can be biased like a proud mama about Adam's work, but his work is magnificent. This is really a film we're seeing. And if you know anything about Marion Woodman, as I said to Linda yesterday, she speaks to you and she tells you a truth, but then it's like she has taken all the molecules in your brain and rearranged them. And you'll see something will just zing you differently and you'll see a different experience. So it's a beautiful film, and it's I thought what a great time to have a community event because someone else, the seed was planted and we're watering the soil. And isn't that a fabulous thing? So we're still kind of, and there's going to be a surprise special guest to introduce the film. So we're working on it. Put the date in your calendar though, Monday night, November 16th at 7 o'clock here on Zoom at this point, unless we discover there's a better platform to air the film. There'll be ticket information, and I hope every single one of you will come and invite a friend to come. because the chances to see this film are rare, and it's fantastic. So mark it in your calendar. Thank you, Linda. I have no enthusiasm for this project at all.
Oh, Brenda, I was just going to say it is so wonderful to just hear the uplifting enthusiasm and passion you have for this project, and we're just delighted that you said you got a big yes from the universe to say yes, let's run with this and go. And it's just it's falling into place so beautifully, and we are all really excited. So, as Brenda said, watch for the ticket information and come one, come all, and more. Thank you. So moving through into the rest of our announcements, for those of you who don't know about Insight Timer, it's a wonderful free app. It has got insightful talks, it's got courses, it's got music, and there's some big name presenters in there. So it's free, and you download it by going to www.insighttimer.com, and there's more information on our newsletter. As well, Spiritual Explorers. So just a reminder that this is here, and it's been here for us for quite some time, and is not going away. And as we're starting to launch into the quiet season of our lives here, beginning to move closer to winter, then this is a really opportune time to begin to do some online courses that you really always wanted to do. And for more information, you'll go to www.unityworldwideministries.org. The information is also, and the link is also contained in the newsletter. So guess who's back? Reverend Roxanne has moved back to Ottawa. So it's a really lovely opportunity to welcome her with open arms, as she has her open arms up here, to welcome her back and really bless her on her journey of discovery in so many ways. And we look forward to seeing more of Reverend Roxanne as we move into the next coming months. And as always, join our newsletter if you want to keep up to date with ESCO. We're a happening place, and you can send the email to UnityOttawa@yahoo.ca to be added to our newsletter. And so here we have our second joy song, and it's called When We Stand Together by Nickelback. So sit back and enjoy.
One more depending on a breath, and we all look away. People pretending everywhere. It's just another day. There's bullets flying
Wow, I was just picturing some of the dancers in our community getting up and hopping around to that. Didn't that just raise your vibe? Ah, yes, we must stand together. So I would like to invite Sonia on as we're going to change our energy into gathering it up for the sacred aspects of our service here. And I invite Sonia to come on and share the daily word. Welcome, Sonia.
Thank you, Linda. Good morning, everybody. Welcome, November. I can't believe it. Okay, so today's daily word is titled Remember. I bless the people whose lives have touched mine. Grandparents, parents, siblings, members of my extended family, teachers, friends, coworkers. Every person I've known has, by his or her example, helped me feel more deeply what it means to be human. Some have encouraged my curiosity. Some have taught me life skills. Some have modeled positive attitudes and behaviors. Some have loved me fully and unselfishly. And some have helped me learn to love even when loving felt difficult. Today I remember the people whose lives have touched mine. I pause to think kindly of each one as I savor memories of time we spent together. Whether we're still in one another's lives, have lost touch, or are separated by death, I know the experiences we have shared continue to enrich our lives and deeply bless us on our spiritual journeys. And from Romans chapter 1, verse 9, I remember you always in my prayers. Thank you.
Thank you, Sonia. And so now I'd like to invite our prayer partner, Mary Way, to lead us in the affirmative prayer for this week. Mary.
What a beautiful service. This month, we are celebrating the power of power, which, as Linda always reminds me, is a very powerful power. The ability to master, have dominion, and control. The disciple for this particular power was Philip, and who felt that it was important to have power over thoughts and feelings. The color is purple, and the location of this power is the root of the tongue. I have power to create my world. Let's say this together. I have power to create my world. This month we will be praying for the Unity Church of Agape in Scarborough, Ontario. Let's just take a moment now, close your eyes, and bring to mind those for whom you wish to pray. Hold them deep in your heart, in that beautiful place of peace, peaceful power, where we are all connected and where we can remember this. We are grateful for the people we love, and we are grateful for those who bless our lives and the lives of others. Today, we offer up our prayers for them, knowing that prayer is the way to form that permanent attitude of mind that reflects the eternal, benevolent activity of the divine. Prayer connects us. It connects us to the endless ebb and flow of spirit and reminds us of our connection, our oneness, our divine power. We and those we hold in prayer can feel the joy and the peace of turning to the divine. We can feel the spirit of divine love working within our lives. and wondrous things begin to happen. And so we say, thank you, thank you, thank you. And so it is. Amen.
Beautiful. Thank you, Mary. Wow, before I begin to introduce our guest speaker, a reminder that if you're on gallery view, you may want to switch to speaker view. You can do that by clicking at the top of the screen over and get yourself back on. You just click, if you see the word gallery view, then click on that and it will bring you to speaker view. And so now, let us begin. It was July 1998, and I was on a backcountry camping excursion in Algonquin Park with a group of women. And one morning, one of the campers shared with me the principles of miracles from A Course in Miracles. And that changed my life. I bought the text and wrote in the front of the book, 1998, the year of beginning to become whole. And it's inscribed right up here at the top. With that said, I'm a mere kindergarten student dipping in and out of the course when compared to a real-life dedicated teacher of A Course in Miracles. We are truly blessed to welcome Anne Buchowski to USCO. Anne is a world-renowned, longtime teacher with the Circle of Atonement in Sedona. The Circle is a bridge to the wisdom of A Course in Miracles. She worked with the Circle in Sedona for several years before returning to Ottawa in 2004 and founded with her husband, James Gregory, Course Oasis, the Circle's first satellite organization. And aren't we blessed to have this gem in our community? Anne is the editor of is one of the editors of the beautiful new edition subtitled Circle of Atonement. Additionally, Anne is responsible for the Circle's Teacher-of-Pupils training program and study group leader training and support. She works and teaches from her home base in Ottawa. I feel truly blessed with her yes to speak not once, but twice on A Course in Miracles. Anne's talk is entitled A Course in Miracles, Part 1. Well, it's actually the fuller title is A Course in Miracles, Walking the Path, Part 1. She will lead the meditation at the end of her talk, and that will bring us into special music. So let us open our hearts and extend to Anne a warm unity welcome. Welcome, Anne.
Thank you, Linda. I really appreciate that introduction, and I was really touched by your story about how you came to find A Course in Miracles. That was really beautiful. I really liked that. Before I get started, I want to say one thing. I know that your custom is to mute your videos or close your videos, but I would really like to talk to people's faces rather than names, so I leave it entirely up to you. But if any, thank you, Brenda, thank you. Yeah, it's just different being able to talk to actual people than names. Oh, thank you. Oh, how lovely. And please don't feel obliged to, not at all, but it's just nice. I really don't like to have to sit looking at myself. In fact, I'm going to get rid of my own picture on the screen. Okay, fine. Well, let me start by saying that my relationship with Unity goes back to the early 1990s. And I still have, and James suggested, this is the James there is my husband, James Gregory. I still have the bookmark my daughter Danya made for me, and it sits in my copy of A Course in Miracles, as well as a birthday card that she wrote. This was in like a long time ago, folks. And it's the Divine Light Surrounds You prayer that she put in here for my birthday. So those still sit in my Course in Miracles. So I have very, very fond memories of my years with them, with Unity. And I think probably most of you, many of you were not there back in those days, but if you were, welcome. And if not, I welcome you anyways. So I'd like to start by telling you, actually, let me tell you a bit more about that. When I was at Unity, I was also taking training in attitudinal healing in Washington and in Virginia. And I introduced attitudinal healing to Ottawa through Unity Church. I did my first workshop there, and we were on baseline in that house in the corner, baseline in Capilano, and I can still remember sitting in a circle in that living room with people and teaching them attitudinal healing, which went on to become the main teaching at Centerpoint House, a spiritual center here in Ottawa. Okay, so that out of the way, I'd like to tell you a story, and this is going to involve some time traveling. So I want to take you back to the late 1950s and early 60s. So we're at Columbia Presbyterian Medical Center in New York City. Bill Thetford is the director of the psychology department, and Helen Schuckman is a research psychologist there. Their relationship, they worked closely together, but their relationship was very stormy, full of anger and conflict and aggression and hostility. Helen was blaming Bill for everything that went wrong in the department. And he was very mild-mannered, aloof, rather withdrawn, and passive-aggressive. Helen was the opposite. She was intense, she was anxious, she was aggressive, and yet they had a mutual respect for each other in relation to their work. In the department, the dynamics were dysfunctional. There was a lot of competition, backbiting, hostility, suspicion. And so as they worked together she was hired in 1958, and as they worked together, there were like widening circles of interpersonal conflict between the two of them, among other people in department, between departments at Columbia Presbyterian, and even with other medical centers in the city. So it wasn't a very pleasant situation. Okay, now we're in 1965. Helen is 56, Bill is 42. Before a regular weekly meeting with other centers in the city, Bill wanted to stop at his apartment to talk to Helen. So he's fed up with the hostility and the infighting. He's pacing up and down, back and forth, and finally he stops in front of Helen and says, "There must be another way of living in harmony rather than discord, and looking at all of this differently." And then he adds, "And I am determined to find it." Specifically, he has decided to look at things differently. He's not going to get angry and is determined not to attack. He's going to look for the constructive in what people say and do, rather than pointing out errors and focusing on mistakes. And he's going to cooperate rather than compete. Helen jumps up and tells him with genuine conviction, "You are right, Bill, and I will try this new approach with you." For starters, they decide to trust each other and to forgive each other. Then they begin to implement the suggestions or the plans Bill had, and they start to notice changes happening. Just as earlier, they had been encircled by these widening chains or circles, really, of anger and resentment and hostility. It seems now as if wave after wave of healing starts to radiate from their joining, changing their own lives, healing their personal relationships with other people, and turning the whole department around. So this is really important, because setting aside their separate interests and joining in this common purpose sets in motion a series of events that lead to, on October 21st, 1965, Helen spontaneously starting to hear words that come unbidden, but come with great authority. And the first word she hears are, "This is A Course in Miracles. Please take notes." I see some of you saying that along with me, so obviously you're familiar with the course, and perhaps course students as well. So this same voice has told her that she has agreed to take down A Course in Miracles as her contribution to a larger plan to restore humanity's forward spiritual progress. Because, as the word said, the world situation is worsening at an alarming rate. Perhaps we can even relate to that today. So she's called an agent in a celestial speed up. So this course was not only meant for Helen and Bill in their personal lives, in their work lives, and in their departmental relations, but it was a course that was meant for the whole world. The dictation, the voice who let me tell you this, the voice who dictates to Helen is very obviously Jesus, but Helen had a really hard time with that. She called herself an angry or militant atheist. So this Jesus stuff and God stuff was just not for her. She was even embarrassed to talk about what was coming to her, and she called it her guilty secret. She did, of course, share it with Bill, who ended up, she took in the dictation, and Bill typed it up. So they were very much partners in this, but he also considered himself an avowed agnostic. So it was really interesting that two people who were basically anti-religion ended up receiving A Course in Miracles, whose central character is God, written by Jesus, and whose central character is God. So the dictation of the course continued until September 1972, in 3 volumes of it, and I'll tell you about those later. And the course itself was published in 1976. Other writings continued to come until 1978. So the way the course came into being and the early years of its scribing actually mirror the message and the teachings of the course itself. Every point Bill Thetford made in his Another Way speech is not only reflected throughout the course, but it's also an integral part of its message. All of its teachings point to this another way. So Bill and Helen were looking for a way out of their own dysfunctional ways of relating and working together. And the course is really all about helping everyone who walks its path to find and live that way. When Bill asked for another way, he was actually asking for a miracle to change the way they saw and behaved, a way to change things. And what they received was a whole course in miracles. And as I said, it was not for them alone, but for the whole world. So a little bit about the course. It has, here it is right here in all its glory. Course in Miracles. This is based on the original handwritten notes of Helen Schuckman in a complete and annotated edition, for which I'll talk next week as well. So it's not only a book full of wonderful, transformative, inspiring teachings, but it's an actual course. It's not called A Course in Miracles for nothing. It's meant to be studied and practiced and applied. So a course, as we know, is a structured program, a learning with a particular curriculum. It teaches something. It imparts knowledge. It involves learning. It's meant to study so that you can learn what it's teaching. It has a plan to follow. It includes exercises, and it has a teacher. So like the course of a river that we've been talking about in Unity this year, this month, like the course of a river, it winds here and there, sometimes encountering obstacles, but it always moves in a forward direction, taking you from one place to another, having a starting point and an end point to which it flows. And A Course in Miracles is the same. It is meant to take us from our current way of thinking and seeing to a whole new way of thinking and seeing. It calls itself, as Bill was saying, he wanted to learn to see, he was determined to see things differently. That's a basic principle teaching all through the course, learning to see things differently. And as we'll see in a bit, that's with Christ's vision, with which you're familiar, obviously. The course is meant to take you from that current thought system to a new one. It calls itself a mind training course. And being A Course in Miracles, what is it teaching us? It's teaching us about miracle workers, and even more than that, it's teaching us to become miracle workers. So, what are these miracles in A Course in Miracles? Very simply and primarily, they are expressions of love. It's said time and time again in the course. So here's how this happens. the Holy Spirit, another main character in A Course in Miracles, acts in our Christ minds, which are our real minds, and shifts our thinking from the belief that we are bodies in a physical world to that of being spirit in the heart and mind of God. And this, the Course calls undoing our level confusion. We are confused about what we are. We think no matter how much we know on one level that we are spiritual beings here in this world, we basically go through life as if we are physical bodies in a physical world, interacting with other physical beings in that world. So, but the truth is, so we're here, we think we're here in this circle of the world, when really that circle of the world is nothing compared to the big circle of God, his heart and his mind. And that's where we are. And being that spirit in the mind is the truth of what we are. It's the Christ self that we are. So, created by an all-loving and only loving God, we are also love and here to be expressions of that love. So can you imagine if you're created to be an expression of love, and as Jesus says in the Course, if you're called here to teach only love, for that is what you are, and what you're here to do, imagine how painful it is not to express that love. This is who you are. This is what you're here for. And it's painful when I can say for myself, it's very painful for me when I don't express that love that I am. So, and then also imagine how healing it is to express that love. The Course even goes as far as to say, you are a miracle. So how could you not be, given that you are an expression of God's love, creation of his love, and all expressions of love are miracles. So not only are you love, you are a miracle. And being a miracle, it's obvious that you're here to extend those miracles. In the original notes, Jesus gave a lot of examples of everyday miracles, but here's one from James in our life. We go for walks every day, and we live in the west end of Ottawa, and we're very close to the Ottawa River. We're also close to Frank Ryan Park, which is still, for most part, an old growth forest. So the other night we went for our evening walk, and walking through the neighborhood across Pinecrest and through the neighborhood. And we stop, there's a house where a couple are outside. Obviously they've just chopped down a tree and it was diseased. So it was obvious that it needed to be chopped down. So usually what we do is just say hello to people as we go along and just nod and greet and smile at them. And this day, James stopped and said, "Oh, hello there, what's going on?" And so they told him what had happened and what kind of a tree it was. And it was a crabapple tree. "Oh, we've got a crabapple tree in our front yard. It's pretty healthy, we're glad of that." And then we talked some more, and it turned out they lived there for many, many years. And we've only lived here for 16 years in this area. And so we had this lovely talk with them. And as we went on, I said to James, you really engaged with those people. You really reached out to them. And he said, "Yeah, that's just my way of expressing a miracle to them." And it's true, because that's all it is. It's acknowledging this person and letting this person know that you care about him or her, that you think this person is worthy of being noticed and engaged. So we continue our walk through the old growth forest, and comes a woman with 2 dogs. So James stops and chats with her and says, "Looks like those dogs are pulling you along." And so she talked about her dogs a bit, and we continued through the forest. And I have red, bright orange walking shoes, and and James had his ordinary running shoes on. We come up to a woman who also has bright green, lime green shoes on. And James says, "How come I'm the only one who doesn't get to have exciting shoes?" And so we stop and talk to her for a bit. And that's a simple example. Obviously there are bigger examples, bringing healing to people, helping change their minds about themselves so they see the Christ in them. That's a miracle. And even small things like this, as I said earlier, even in the small, I will say later actually, to do this even in the smallest ways, it's really important. So there's no one easy definition of A Course in Miracles. It is, as I said, a mind training course. It's also a spiritual path, as Jesus says in Review 5 of the workbook. This course was sent to open up the path of light to us and teach us step by step how to return to the eternal self we lost. I love that quote. I think it's so powerful. Opening up the path of light to us, and that is what it is. It's a guide to having holy relationships, loving relationships. It's a manual on forgiveness. It's a way out of our fear, anxiety, the guilt and worry that we all experience in some way or another. It's a guide to seeing everyone and everything differently, which means through, as you've been identifying for this whole year, through a spiritual lens, which the Course also calls the eyes of Christ or Christ's vision, which means seeing beyond bodily forms and appearances to the essential holiness, equality, and worth in everyone. The Course helps us to find our special function, which is a specific purpose for which we are here, and it's a road home. It comes in 3 volumes. The text, you see, it is quite big. The text contains all those wonderful transformative teachings. The workbook contains practical, concrete ways, 365 lessons, one for each day of the year, with the goal of undoing the ego in us and returning us to that eternal self. Ultimately to the experience of God and our oneness with Him and with everyone else. And then the third part of the course, the third volume, is a manual for teachers. And it's just that, a manual for those who are called to extend it in some form or other, just like any manual, a manual for teachers of any subject in the world. So that's the story of the Course. Now let me tell you a bit about my story, the story of the Course in my life. So I came to the Course at a time in my life when I was in a lot of pain, great pain. My husband and father of our children had left our marriage, and I was left with enormous guilt, anger, fear, and a lot of pain, as I said. And Jesus says in the Course that pain thresholds can be high, but they are not limitless. Eventually, everybody begins to recognize, however dimly, that there must be a better way. Well, I was in desperate need of a better way at that point in my life, and I found it first through attitudinal healing. I went to Washington, D.C., and then later to Virginia, and took courses in workshops in attitudinal healing, and then later became trained in attitudinal healing, which is what led me to bringing it back here to Ottawa through Unity. So attitudinal healing is based on A Course in Miracles, so it was logical for me to want to go to the source, to go to the Course. So in 1989, some folks affiliated with Unity, I don't know if any of you would even remember Barbara and Alan Reed and Val Scott, but yes, you do. Yeah. I was part of Inner Peace Unlimited with them, and we brought Robert Perry, course teacher Robert Perry, here to Ottawa to do a workshop. And that began my serious study and commitment to the Course, studying and later working and teaching with Robert, helping him found in 1993 the Circle of Atonement in Sedona, Arizona, that not-for-profit teaching organization that Linda mentioned earlier, which has become renowned worldwide for its fidelity to the words of the Course and the teachings of the Course. So when I first picked up the Course, I knew instantly that this was Jesus speaking and that He was speaking to me. Now, I came from a non-religious and actually anti-religious family background. But back in those days in public school, we had religious education. And that's where I learned about Jesus. And I developed a fondness for Him because He seemed to be so caring and so kind and so loving. And then in my early adulthood, I encountered a Jesus who loved and treated everyone with love, with respect, and treated them as equals. a Jesus who believed in peace and in social justice. And I wanted to be like this Jesus. I felt as I read the course, I felt that I'd found the Jesus that I knew was Jesus, but the Jesus I had lost sight of because of what organized religion had done, had made of him and had made of his teaching. So the course was like, oh, finally, here we are, here he is, and here I am with him. And I still want, perhaps even more than ever, to learn from him and be like him. I'm far from it. I'm far from it, but I do feel that I'm definitely on the path, and that the course has, I've made giant strides with the course in my life. One of my favorite course quotes is, "Teach not that I died in vain. Teach rather that I did not die by demonstrating that I live in you." So he's given us this Course in Miracles as a way to help us learn to demonstrate that he lives in us. And I feel that, and as I said, I'm far from it. But initially, although I knew this was with Jesus, and I loved what he was saying, and I knew it was him, I really took umbrage at the fact that this course was so gender specific. I did not like talking about God as he, as Father, and as he. I did not like calling everybody my brother. But you know what? The teachings won me over, and eventually that became a non-issue, and it still is. So, what place does it have in my life? First of all, you may have already guessed this, but I really love the course, and I can't imagine my life without it. It's my mainstay, it's the wind in my sails, and it gives me the direction in which to sail. It's taught me so much and affected so many changes in my life. I can't imagine starting my day without my morning quiet time, in which I read and meditate and practice my lesson for the day. For example, I want to tell you about today's lesson. Today's lesson, chronological lesson of the course, is there is a peace that Christ bestows on us. And then it starts off with, who uses but, and in the course but often means only. So who uses only Christ's vision finds a peace so deep and quiet, undisturbable, and wholly changeless that the world contains nothing comparable. And all the world departs in silence as this peace envelops it and gently carries it to the truth, no more to be the home of fear. For love has come and healed the world by giving it Christ's peace. So that's what I feel the course does with me, and does with anyone who becomes a student of it and who follows its path. Teaches us to see with Christ's vision and experience all the peace and joy that comes from doing that. Oh, I wanted to tell you about, it was a perfect lesson for me today, because I was, as I usually am, nervous about coming to do this today. It's just automatic for me. I have that, the butterflies in my stomach. So I read this lesson and I go, my gosh, all I need to do is go there and see all those wonderfully beautiful people, holy people with Christ's vision, and I'll be at peace. I won't have anything to worry about. I'll see them as my beloved brothers and sisters and dearest friends. And so the lessons are so practical, and getting that today was like, okay, thank you, Holy Spirit. You knew exactly what I needed today to come to be among my unity friends. So I really can't imagine my day going through my day without the course. My practices throughout the day keep me on track, reminding me of what's true, what's real, what's important. And when I do get off track and I am tempted to get angry or worried or critical of certain people in my life who is with us today, practicing my lessons gets me back on track, and it brings me back to my center in God. So Jesus says that he's bringing us to a different way of a new experience of seeing, of being, of living in this world. And I think that that's what's been happening to me over all of these years. As I said earlier, I'm far from having arrived, but I think I have made giant strides, and I'll not ever stop doing that Another favorite quote of mine is, your starting point is truth, and you must return to that beginning, to this beginning. And I think that's what the Course is teaching. It's teaching me to recognize the truth and return to it and hold on to it. Take a stand for it. You know, that's it. So in those early years after my first husband, because James is my second, left our marriage, it taught me how to forgive, how to let go of guilt. And over the years, it's taught me how to be more loving, how to find loving ways of relating. When I talked to James about this, he said, yeah, and he says, we're still together, because we often say only half jokingly, that if it weren't for the Course, we probably wouldn't be together, because we came to marriage and to our holy relationship in midlife. And we were both very set in our ways, and we were very clear that our way was the right way. And so we both had, I would say, some control issues, and all of that hasn't disappeared, but it's going bit by bit. And we feel like we've really made giant strides as a couple as well. And so the Course has taught us day by day that the only right way, the right way is not my way or his way. The only right way is the loving way. For instance, the way, and this is what we try to do. We're not always great at it, but this is what we try to do. Setting aside our own separate interests and needs and seeking only what is in the best interests of both of us. Acting with kindness, even in the smallest of ways. Sometimes James will say to me, do you realize you're not being very friendly? And that will stop me in my tracks. And I will go back to, yeah, I need to be kind here. Seeing beyond we're very different people. We have a lot in common, but we're very different. We see things differently. Our minds work differently. And things bug us about each other. But the Course is helping us to see beyond that to the light of the truth in each of us. And looking at what joins us rather than separates us and keeping us apart. And most of all, I think, being willing and ready to forgive. There's a wonderful conflict resolution process in the Course that we use regularly whenever we get off track, and it's very, very helpful. And it's basically trying to see each other, committing to seeing each other with the eyes of Christ. So one of the most profound teachings in the Course for me is, I am not a body. I am free, for I am still as God created me. That is, pure and holy as himself. In 2015, I was diagnosed with colon cancer. And it was this idea that I am not a body, I am free, that got me through the experience with grace and with ease. Of course, I was stunned when I first received the diagnosis, but somehow I was totally confident that I was going to be okay. And not for one moment did I think that I had cancer. My body had cancer, but I wasn't my body. So I didn't have cancer. So I carried that through the whole experience. And I actually felt that the whole experience was a blessing for me, because it gave me the opportunity time and time again to have holy encounters with the medical staff, with people along the way, with friends. They were offering loving miracles of love. And I think I was doing that as well. So it wasn't a bad experience at all. So let me talk a bit now about my special function as a Course teacher, because my special function, the main avenue for which I express miracles, I take my part in God's plan for salvation, appears to be through teaching the Course, which I've been doing for many, many years in various forms. And it's absolutely one of my greatest joys. It's clear that my life here is not for me alone, and the Course is not for me alone. I came to it because I was desperate to find another way. I was desperate to find peace. And that was, I think, on the surface what brought me to it, but I think on a deeper level, I wanted to learn to be that love that I was created to be. I wanted to think and see differently. I wanted to teach only love, to return to that eternal self, and I wanted to help people find that own eternal self in them. And as I said, it's been my greatest joy. When I see someone's eyes lit up, when I see someone have an insight, when I talk to one of my pupils and she or he says, this is what happened to me, it's like, you know, this is what I'm here for. And it's just so fulfilling. And so as I started to experience the benefits of the Course, I wanted other people to experience them as well. And you as Unity followers, Unity practitioners, know that by giving we receive. And this is also absolutely basic. I mean, it's the first lesson of the Holy Spirit, and it's carried throughout the Course, that giving and receiving are the same. It's the law of love, that what I give my brother is my gift to me. So I've learned, so that giving is what I'm here for. So I've learned that through the Course, that giving, teaching, offering miracles strengthens what I realize I have. Teaching strengthens the teachings in me. The way to recognize the love that I am is to extend that love. The way to see the holiness in myself is to see it in others. The way to realize I am guiltless and innocent is to recognize that others are innocent and guiltless as well. And the Course has been teaching me that the way to God is through forgiveness here. There is no other way. That's from lesson 256. So no matter what our work here is, your work, each and every one of you, your work, doctor, administrator, technician, parent, clerk in a store, retired, the role of each and every one of us is to teach only love, to offer the miracles, those expressions of love that we're called to offer. And as I said, to take our essential part in God's plan for salvation of the world, not just our own, of the whole world. Nothing else will ever really satisfy us and bring us the freedom and the happiness and the peace that we seek. So earlier I talked, and I'm just coming up to a closing here, earlier I talked about the Course being an actual course, like the course of a river, which starts at a source and moves out from that source. We are all every one of us here and every one of us in this greater universe is part of one river. Small rivers within one big river, starting from one source, God. And our whole journey here in this world is to be carried lovingly back to that source where we really belong, all of us together. We are not just connected, we are one. And here's a closing quote, lesson from the Course before I take you into our meditation. I am one self, united with my Creator in that self, at one with every aspect of creation, and limitless in power and in peace, in the power and the peace and the love of God. So that brings us to our meditation time. And I will take you into it, and there will take you into the music that will be playing. This is a chant based on lesson 157 in the Course. Into His presence would I enter now. And just to, although the bigger presence is God, the presence in this particular lesson is Christ's presence. So as you hear the music, as you listen to it, let it take you down and inward into the center of your being, to the center of Christ in you, your true self. So you let the music take you down and inward into that place of Christ in you. And then there'll be some time after the music is over to bask in that presence, feeling the limitless power and peace and love of God. And I will bring you out at the end. But after the music is over, there will be a time for you to go into silent, quiet meditation, basking in Christ's presence.
Into His presence would I enter now. Into His presence would I enter
And now bring yourself gently back, telling yourself, I am not a body. I am free, for I am still as God created me. I am spirit in the heart and mind of God. I am the Holy Christ, created by Him to be an expression of His love. As I see with Christ's vision, I'm enfolded, enveloped in the peace and love and power of God. Amen.
To the Ukraine and I, da 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 da. I've been to Florida and I, da 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 da. In the Black Hills of North Virginia, what have I learned? What have I learned? People all over the world, people from country to country, one and the same in the world, and one song we sing. Life should be harmony in this world of self-destruction. Nations lift your voices and sing. I've been to Naples and I've been to Georgia and da 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 da. I've been to the Sun Deer and I've been to the Ocean and da 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 da. Black Virginia, what have I learned? What have I learned?
Oh my. Oh, I imagine that if you are all just even a fraction of what I have received, if you're filled up in the way I am, I'm just so very grateful to have the depth of understanding of the Course and the lives of the two creators, the receivers of that, the channels of that. And really, that's just the messages are outstanding, and we're being told all the time, it all begins with forgiveness. And I'm so appreciating just the reminders that, and Marianne, what you said about giving and receiving is the law of love, that it strengthens what I already have, my understanding about what I already have, and it strengthens my reason for having it, which is to share it. And so that brings us into our gratitude of prosperity, that we are so blessed by this abundant life. And while sometimes it can be a little challenging to notice that, that is our job. It is our job to notice even the little things, the smiles, the light in someone's eyes, the, not being hungry. So much. There's so much to be grateful for. And so in this time, let us know that the divine present in nature within us is our source, guidance, and protection. And this is true regardless of what is happening in the outer world. So the board of directors, of whom I'm a part, is so grateful for all of you for blessing us with your abundance so that we can continue to offer online services and that we can contemplate and consider how we can expand this going forward into the future. And if you're new to Unity or come periodically and have been uplifted and spiritually nourished by our online services, then I encourage you to share with us so that we can continue to abundantly be in the flow of life. So let us say this affirmation on the screen together. Divine love as me blesses and multiplies all that I give, all that I have, and all that I receive, and I am grateful. Ways to donate. On our Unity website, you'll notice the donate button, and you can give either via credit card or PayPal. You can download the Tithely app. And note that when you're searching, it is Unity Church of Ottawa that we are listed in. You can send an e-transfer from your bank directly to our office email at officeunityottawa@yahoo.ca and mailing a check to us. Well, mailing a check to the office. And our mailing address is on the top right corner of our website. So, we are moving forward to bless our center, to bless our presence in the world as a growing and evolving community. So let us together. Unity Spiritual Center Ottawa is abundantly blessed. Creative people are drawn to us. Divine ideas flow through us. Financial resources bless us. And we accomplish mighty works together. And how do we accomplish them? Together. So we have our little bird of the month is the black-throated green warbler. And Sheila, I invite you on, our in-resident birder, to come on and share your wisdom. Thank you.
Thanks, Linda. I'm not sure about in-resident birder, but yeah, so I chose this little bird for November, and the main reason is, now this may be a repeat, but this is the female. And the reason I've popped her up is because in the springtime, for those of you who don't know, most of you probably do, the male species of most birds have a very distinct, beautiful, colorful, vibrant feather suit on to try and attract mates, and the females stay pretty much the same throughout the year. And so it's harder to spot females in the spring because the guys are just, you know, they're stealing the show with all their color. So the great thing about birding in the fall is that because there's no more need for trying to attract a mate, the males tend to change suits and look a lot drabber and a lot less colorful. And that's when the females really stand out. So just 3 days ago, I was out on a hike with a good friend of mine, and we spotted this gal in the trees, and it was such a delight to see her. She's a late bloomer because most of them have made their little journey south by now, but a few of them are stragglers and kind of lag behind. And with weather changing patterns and stuff over the years, some of them stay longer. But I just thought this was a huge gift to see this beautiful bird stand out so much with, and I mean, this photo doesn't do justice to what we spotted. That yellow head was just stunningly vibrant. It was really exciting to see that in late October. And I also just wanted to say it's really humbling for me when I do these things, because this bird that we saw 3 days ago on a trail is gradually going to be making her way down to probably at the very least the Yucatan Peninsula in Mexico, if not further south, which is, as the crow flies, or in this case as the warbler flies, about 2,800 to 3,000 kilometers. And boy, like I know some of you know, I drove Roxanne's car back from Victoria in a car over 5 days, and that was about 4,800 kilometers. And I thought that was pretty cool, and I was quite proud. So this is all very humbling being a bird watcher for sure. Anyway, that's our month of November bird, and let's wish her and all her friends good luck on their journey south. Thanks, Linda.
Thank you, Sheila. I appreciate the love that you share with us about the birds and their amazing gifts of presence that they have for us. And I'll just see this little warbler and all her kin, you know, showering blessings on their way as they fly over everyone. So we have Louise Dugas' nephew, Lincoln, who's growing since the last time I've seen him. And this beautiful young man is holding proudly his award as he participated in the refuge. I know there's a whole title there and I've forgotten it. And he's just a shining bright light, isn't he? So let us bless him, and let us bless all the bright lights that we have, as he represents the light, the heart, the future of all of us. So together you are the peace, the love, and the light of this world. Let your light shine. Blessed be, Lincoln. Oh, and here we are, November, birthday babies, the first of the month, right? So all you birthday babies, see Brenda's ahead of us in the chat. She's already prompting. So anyone with birthdays, please do take a moment and add your name. So Sonia has put in that her birthday is on November 21st. Beautiful. And you know, after service today, I'm jumping right off. I went beyond for fellowship because my granddaughter, Dahlia, is turning 9 years old today. So Carolyn Maloney on November 24th. Anybody else? November babies. Well, here we have Deborah Maloney, same family, November 17th. Great. Happy birthday. Yeah, so this is so lovely. And just keep your names coming in, and we're going to bless you as you and we get to focus on the light and the bright and the love. And Lana Maloney is November 19th. Whoa, 3 in one family, all in November. Yeah, it's a beautiful month, and my late mom too. So we are just so grateful to celebrate you. And let us start the music, Sheila, and we will all sing. Happy birthday. So we come to that time in our service where it's time to say thank you. And first of all, to Anne Buchowski. Anne, isn't there is just so much to say about A Course in Miracles. And you have given us a beautiful introduction. Even for those of us who know the history, you know so much more of the intimate details. And wasn't it beautiful to kind of have the inside scoop that they were no different than many of us trying to navigate our own challenges in life. And they decided there has to be another way. And haven't we, each of us, so many times in our lives that there's got to be another way. There's got to be a way that's more peaceful, that's more full of life and love and joy and all of those things. So thank you, thank you, thank you. I know we're all looking forward to having you back again next week. Perfect theme for this month to have A Course in Miracles highlighted, which is all interconnection. And we look forward to hearing more about the evolution of the new edition. So thank you, thank you, thank you. The great music, Lynn, that you chose for our recorded music this week, perfectly themed, and I appreciate that. Mary Way, thank you for your beautiful prayers and presence, and Sonia for jumping in and reading, sharing with us in the beautiful way that you do the daily word. Brenda Mason, thank you for being our chat guru, and also for co-hosting, to helping to silence those of us who maybe forgot to mute ourselves, and appreciate that. And as always, Sheila, thank you for creating this slideshow and navigating us through each and every slide, each and every step of the way. And I want to thank all of you, each and every one of you that got up today, that remembered to turn your clocks back, that were present and open to receiving, the messages that we are here to deliver today. So thank you, thank you, thank you. Next week, as I said, come on back to part 2 of Walking the Path with Anne Buchowski. Mary Way is also on duty all week, and she would love to pray with you. So if you have even an itch, you kind of think that you would like to have a prayer, a hunch, a kind of a nudge, then please send an email to officeunityottawa@yahoo.ca. Please don't you have to say anything about why you want to pray, just that you want to be connected with the prayer partner on duty. Or if you remember it's Mary, please please forward this to Mary. And Sheila will be very happy to do that. Also, there are many ways to pray online at unity.org. Download the YouPray app or call directly for someone at 1-800-NOW-PRAY. So, no reason why we're not prayed up. And so, in closing, I would like to close with how I began, with a quote from the legendary chief, Crazy Horse. Remember, I shared, he said, "I see a time of 7 generations when all the colors of mankind will gather under the sacred tree of life, and the whole earth will become one circle again." He closed his prophecy by saying, "I salute the light within your eyes, where the whole universe dwells. For when you are at that center within you, and I am that place within me, we shall be one." Namaste. So let us move into the prayer for protection. If you'd like to receive the blessing, open your hands to receive it. And then when we join together for the closing circle, I use the word circle because that's what we did in the sanctuary. We held hands and we connected with one another. So now we expand our capacity to envision a connection with each other, etherically, energetically, connecting with each and every one, showing our light into the center of that circle so that it can go out into the universe, blessing each and every person. So go in beauty. Blessed be. And stay on for fellowship.